From a single piece of rock, the artisans have carved out Kailash Temple from top to bottom. It took almost 150 years, 7 different generations of artists. They created magnificent carving, not only on the inner wall, outer wall, but also on the top of the temple, on the side bottom, and on the ceiling too. The renowned Western artist, Michelangelo, who slept on his back while doing the painting on the roof of Sistine Chapel. Look here, thousands of unknown artists also did the same. They slept on their back. They didn't even bother about the debris, rock chips, and the dust particle falling on their face and the eyes. I don't know how many artists would have lost their eyes.
It is one of the earliest man-made structure, built in the 5th century BC. Architecturally, a temple. But the colossal statue of Athena is unrelated to any cult or religion. It is regarded as the finest example of Greek architecture and enjoys the reputation of being the most perfect Doric temple ever built. The dimensions are huge, 70 by 31 meter at the base, with 10-meter high columns. Acropolis, where the Parthenon stands, along with Poseidon and many other illustrious buildings, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, 1 out of 18 in Greece. Located about 5,000 kilometers away, built about 1,000 years later, is another UNESCO World Heritage Site of another ancient civilization. There are 36 sites located across the country, in line with the ancient and diverse heritage of India.
Allura Complex is the zenith of artistic creation comprising of 100 caves. It was amongst the first set of sites from India to be declared as UNESCO World Heritage Site. One of the most prominent structure in the complex is Kailash Temple. And while the dimensions of the Parthenon are huge, the Kailash Temple is almost twice.
Of the 36 sites in India, 5 are located in the state of Maharashtra, and Ellora is one of the 2 sites located in Aurangabad itself. There are more than 1200 cave temples are located in the western Ghat of Maharashtra. Originally, the rock-cut temple architecture was introduced by Buddhism and later on followed by Hinduism and Jainism. Initially, they carved the temple caves to provide accommodation for Buddhist monks. There is a substantial evidence in the later phase. The traders, merchants, scholars also took shelter in these temple caves. So these temple caves are located very close to the ancient trade route, Karwa Path, which used to start from Nalasapura to Pratishthan, ancient capital of Satavahana. Now it is known as Python. From there to Ujjain and Bharuch through Ajanta.
It is an old town named after Aurangzeb, the Mughal emperor, who was ambitious, powerful, and extremely fanatic. Now he rests in peace, a few miles away. Long before Aurangzeb had appeared on the scene, Badami Chalukyas ruled here. The Badami Chalukya period saw a bloom in architectural pursuits, when nearly 100 structures appeared in their unique architecture that essentially followed the subtraction strategy.
Pattadakkal, located about 600 kilometers south from Ellora, was the center of Chalukyan architecture. It was the place of coronation for the Chalukya monarchy. The group of monuments located in Pattadakkal is also a UNESCO heritage site. The largest and the grandest is the Virupaksha Temple, built in 745 AD by the queen to commemorate the victory over the Pallavas of Kanchi.
This temple in Pattadakkal was inspired by the Kailash Temple of Kanchi. Imitation, as is said, is the best form of flattery. However, the imitation story does not end here.
The Rashtrakuta rulers who came to rule this area almost immediately after the disintegration of the Badami Chalukyas were also great patrons of art and culture. By then, work had already begun at Ellora.
The work at Ellora had started halfway through Ajanta works, while Buddhism was still predominant. The Buddhist temples in Ellora were excavated during 5th century to 10th century AD. Cave number 10, the only Chaitya at Ellora, is in the form of a chapel, a reminiscent of Ajanta and Elephanta. It is called Vishwakarma, dedicated to the patron saint of the craftsman.
In 1829, a hunting party led by John Smith of the 20th Cavalry found the Ajanta caves, located about 100 kilometers away from Ellora. These caves are entirely Buddhist and date from about 200 BC, a period when Buddhism flourished in India.
The Chinese travelers Yongshong and Fahen have mentioned the frescoes of Ajanta in their travel stories. These caves are unique in that they combine three forms of art: architecture, sculpture, and painting. They also form the base on which Ellora was designed.
Dhammam sharanam gacchami, sangham sharanam gacchami.
Allura Complex is an example carved in stone of the peaceful coexistence of the three main religions prevailing at that time in India.
Cave No.16 is the largest man-made monolithic structure on the face of the earth. This freestanding temple cave is like a Hindu encyclopedia. It exhibits different kind of floral pattern, geometrical designs, celestial beings, different motifs, pilasters, and whatnot. However, the most ambitious project within the Allura Complex was commissioned by the King Dantidurga. It was modelled on the lines of Virupaksha Temple at Pattadakkal, also dedicated to Lord Shiva. Probably, it was meant to be called Virupaksha. Its inspiration in Pattadakkal was also called Virupaksha Temple, and so was the huge temple in Vijayanagar. The magnificent sculpture of Ravana, trying to shake the Kailash mountain, was made at a later stage, but the temple derived its name apparently from Ravana's efforts. The entrance to the temple courtyard features a low gopuram. The two-story gateway opens to reveal a U-shaped courtyard. It is a magnificent engineering achievement of ancient Indian civilization. It is one of the grandest monolithic excavations in the world. In simplest possible terms, it was carved out of a single rock, a big rock. The courtyard is edged by columned arcade, 3 stories high. These arcades are punctuated by huge carved panels and alcoves containing enormous sculptures. The temple proper stands on a plinth and has an impressive frieze of boldly carved elephants and lions. The base of the temple has been carved to create an illusion that the elephants are holding the structure aloft. Elephants, a very potent symbol of Buddhism and Hinduism, dominate the structure all around. The main temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva.
A rock bridge connects the Nandi Mandap to the porch of the temple.
There are 2 huge freestanding columns called as Dhwajastambha or victory pillars. The temple, even if it is not structurally required, has all the architectural details of a real block-built temple, with bases, beams, columns, capitals, brackets, and pilasters.
According to Hermann Goetz, the famous art historian, the construction of the Kailash Temple began during the reign of Janki Durga of the Rashtrakuta dynasty. His successor Krishna, who ruled between 756 and 774 AD, consecrated its first complete version. Another historian, Dhavaikar, also believes that the main shrine, its gateway, the Nandi Mandap, the lower story, the elephant lion frieze, the court elephants were completed during Krishna's reign. Later Rashtrakuta rulers extended the temple. The work continued up to the reign of Krishna III, who ruled up to 967 AD, that is, about 2 centuries since the start of work under the rule of Danchi Durga. The 11th century Parmar ruler Raja Bhoj commissioned the elephant lion frieze on the lower plinth and added a new layer of paintings. Finally, India's most popular queen, Ahilyabai Holkar, commissioned the last layer of paintings in the temple. After that, ASI took charge of the place.
Carving in a single piece of rock, from top to bottom, without scaffoldings, by using primitive tools like hammers and chisels. There was zero margin for error. It's simply incredible. I think it's easy to go on the moon than carving Kailash Temple.
There is enough architectural evidence to suggest that the entire temple was planned at the beginning. In other words, it means that when the pioneers first stood on the top of the hillock, they visualized a beautiful temple lying hidden under the hill, which they wanted to excavate and sculpt.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
This is the place. That's some kabutar.
It was a project that would continue for decades and was prone to the same challenges of project failure as any modern day project in the corporate or military world. Plus, some added risk like no documentation, no communication tools, and no computing facilities for simulation analysis. In a way, it was a project set up for grand failure.
The magnitude of the vision can be gauged by the fact that it was done in the 6th century, when the only execution tools available to those visionaries were pickaxe, hammer, and infinite amount of passion.
They chiseled their way top down until they hit one gigantic solid rock. The temple was then carved from the remaining central portion. This resulted in a 32-meter high structure that appears to come out of the ground. Most of the artisans had previously been associated with the Ajanta project. They stayed together and worked together across generations. There is no known leadership, but it appears to be a collective effort of a large number of unknown artists determined to realize a grand vision.
The ability to withstand the destructive instincts of elements and human beings defines the inherent engineering skills. A robust structure that can withstand the test of time gives us the assurance that generations later people would still be able to admire these structures. The Parthenon, built after the Persian attack, remained intact until the 5th century, when Phidias's colossal statue was removed and the temple was transformed into a church. The Turks seized the Acropolis in 1458, and 2 years later they converted the Parthenon as a mosque by adding a minaret. During the bombardment of the Acropolis in 1687 by the Venetians fighting the Turks, a powder magazine located in the temple blew up, destroying the center of the building. The roof vanished.
The temple was unprecedented in both the quantity and the quality of architectural sculptures used to decorate it. No previous Greek temple was so richly decorated. This also attracted some unwanted interests.
And despite the ravages of time, explosions, looting, and pollution, the dynamic architectural marvel still dominates the landscape of Athens, a magnificent testimony to the Greek engineering glory. Even today, visitors are treated to the visual illusions, with the viewing experience changing as the viewer moves around the temple. Cave 16 similarly has survived the test of time, both natural and man-made. Another tyrant, Aurangzeb, as the Mughal emperor, had sent a military unit to destroy the Kailash Temple. The broken elephant trunks that stare down at the visitors are a mute testimony of what they had suffered. However, the barbarians failed in their savage attempts. It mostly survived.
The question that remains unanswered is how can simple folks in the 6th century, armed with just pickaxes and hammers, create such a wonder?
This is a center for art and architecture, history and culture, values and tradition, harmony and coexistence. The artists who were working on the first and the second phase of Kailash Temple knew very well that they would not survive to see the final product. Yet they have completed it with a great dedication, devotion, and the determination. This open-air temple cave is not recognized as one of the 7 wonders of the world. Isn't that the 8th wonder?
Maybe you would want to see this beauty of our heritage, apparently made by the aliens. It has inspired many in the past. Maybe you will also go back inspired to make the most.